Sup, guys? Yeah, you're gonna have to forgive me for my lack of a voice, but I just wanted to share with you what an incredible week last week was. It was one of the most intense and yet amazing weeks of my life. I helped out at our church's holiday club last week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I've been doing these holiday clubs for the past 13 years at different churches, different schools, but I've never really seen it as like a spiritual exercise. It's more like a hey, let's just play with kids kind of thing. Um, and I've almost always ended up hurt or injured or sore, in pain or sick in some way when I've been doing these. And this week was the worst slash best. um, so yeah, I was with the older kids, and and it was amazing. So Wednesday was when it all kind of kicked off. Um, I I sprained my right ankle. Uh, a lot of pain, and started getting a bit of a cough. And one of the one of the kids in my group, he and his twin sister, let's just say they weren't really well behaved. They were like all over the place, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Um, and I can understand why they were doing it because they told me earlier that their mom had started smoking again, and they were very worried about her. So I could understand where they were coming from. And so I spoke to them about it, and we prayed, and it was pretty awesome. And then the next day, Thursday, was the worst. Um, it was crazy. I had to go there on crutches just because the pain in my ankle was just too much. Um, and that same boy, um, who was all over the place the previous day, he went out of his way to get me a chair to sit on at every single opportunity. I didn't ask him. I didn't request anything. He just did it of his own volition. So God was really moving in him. Um, and then I said to our kids pastor earlier that day, would it be possible for us to just take 10, 15 minutes just praying individually over every one of our group members? She said, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And so I did, and I prayed for all the group members, and next thing, this boy, his name is Liam, this same boy who was just so naughty the previous day, he said um, to me, I'd like to pray for you. So I said, okay, thanks, buddy. That would be awesome. And he closed his eyes and he prayed and he said, God, thank you so much for Devin. Thank you that he cares so much about every single one of us. And please help him to get better. And he's the most amazing guy I've ever met. And I just bawled my eyes out. I just cried and cried and cried. It was an amazing moment. And earlier, actually that day as well, before I forget, there was a little girl, or not little, I think she's like 10 years old girl, whose parents are going through divorce, and which is why she was just, you could see she wasn't really in in a good space. And so I spoke to her and gave her my experience of my parents divorcing, and led her through a prayer. Um, and she got a few words in and looked up and she just started crying. She couldn't even talk, and her leader sort of finished the sentences for her, and then she just gave me this tearful hug, and I sat in I sat in our storeroom and just cried flat out for like 10 minutes because I hate divorce and I hate what it's doing to children and what it's doing to the world, and the fact that it's become so normalized. It's not right. It's not right at all. And then, yeah, that Thursday evening, when I got back to the house that I was house sitting, um, I got out of my car and my entire body was just racked with pain. I could barely walk to the front door. And by the time I got to my room, boom, the flu hit me hard. I was shaking like crazy. I had to go out and get it warmed up, and I could barely, like, I could barely put the key into the keyhole to get outside. Um, and so I made myself a medlem, and I started singing and worshiping God in that moment, and sent out prayer requests. Now, just to back up quickly, um, that week, God had been waking me up exactly 1 hour earlier every single morning to pray, but I hadn't been praying because I hadn't seen the signs that this was spiritual warfare, and so I knew that I was like, okay, God, whatever time you wake me up, I'll pray. So I went to bed and I shut my eyes and I saw this figure leaning over my bed, and it was very unsettled. I was very unsettled in my spirit about it. And then I saw these flashes of light, and I knew that God was fighting on my behalf. And Satan tried to corrupt my mind and my dreams, but it didn't work because God was fighting for me. And yes, God woke me up an hour earlier. So basically, Wednesday morning it was 4:30. Thursday morning it was 3:30, and then God woke me up 2:30 in the morning, and I prayed for the day, and I prayed for protection, and I went to bed again, and I woke up, and it was the flu was gone completely, and my right ankle was completely healed. Yeah, Jesus, completely healed. I didn't need crutches at all. Um, and then I just got sicker and sicker. But um, Saturday, Sunday evening was also like amazing because I went to a free Sean Foyt from Bethel free concert of his, even though I was sick. But it was amazing because just the Holy Spirit just flowed there. I was giving words to people, and God was just moving like crazy. Um, but it was definitely the most intense spiritual week of my life, emotionally, physically. Um, but yeah, it was amazing, guys. So just know that if you're going through a hard time, God is fighting for you. And He's pushing back the darkness, and He's lighting up the kingdom that cannot be shaken. So yeah, God bless.